Hello everyone. Basically what we want to go over today is the all-standing runner's warm-up. And we had a lot of people ask us questions about this. Now we usually start out with warming up the ankle, and we do this with a variety of positions with a variety of isometrics. We do the inside out, and then we do the outside in. We don't have any standard rep ranges, but we usually hold it for about a 6-second count in each position. We can then take the standing foot isometrics into more of a calf raise. In the calf raise, you see from the side and from straight ahead, we make sure that we're holding onto something so it doesn't become a balance activity, and then we can slightly tweak it to the outside or towards the big toe. Now we're going to turn it around and warm up our dorsiflexors by doing these simple toe raises. Now we're going to combine them with this heel to toe walk. Very simple. After the heel to toe walk, you have a choice. You can either try something that's a little more advanced like this A skip. Here it is broken down in slow motion where we get the hop off the ball of the foot and touch underneath the thigh. We could also just do a regular transitional run, very low key. Here's the same A skip, but now switching side to side. Now we're going to work on something that controls knee extension with hip flexion at the same time at different levels. Now we're going to do the exact opposite, and we're going to try to control knee flexion with hip extension, all at different levels. Now we're going to pull it all together with this butt kick to extend transitional exercise. Now we're going to do the same thing, but in reverse. Now with this transitional technique, we have a backwards reach run, kicking the butt and reaching back with every step, and then we're going to run forward at a nice easy pace. Now we're going to focus around the hip. We're also going to be controlling knee flexion at the same time, but primarily what we're looking at is hip flexion and the control of descent of hip extension. Now we're going to go into hip extension. Again, controlling knee flexion as well. You have the opportunity to go straight leg or bent knee, depending on whatever you feel is the most comfortable. The next transition is this very simple heel to butt kick. Now, the whole purpose of this particular butt kick is the fact that we're trying to limit the amount of hip flexion, and we're trying to bring that heel right to the glute. In this version, we're actually trying to drive hip flexion with our butt kicks. Make sure you focus on splitting the leg and then driving the foot directly underneath the hip and pushing down. From here, we're going to ramp up our reach run, and we're also going to ramp up our forward run. Now we're going to focus on a bunch of different types of hip abduction. Here's a version where we're actually abducting and slightly externally rotating the hip as we're flexing. And here's a version where we're externally rotating, abducting, and hip flexing all at the same time. Now this is hip abduction with a knee bend in order to limit resistance as you move further out. Now you have the opportunity to have the straight leg variety where it's going to be a lot more difficult as you raise the leg further to the side. Now you can do different types of rotations at the hip, internally and externally, but then you can also vary your degree of hip flexion in front or hip extension behind. Now we're just going to challenge hip abduction with the leg that's actually on the ground to drive yourself out to the opposite side. Now we're going to try to challenge going across the body with adduction in a variety of ways. Now this is the control of adduction by controlling the descent of the leg by the outside abductors. And this is going to be hip flexion and adduction along with rotation at the same time. With this transitional mechanic, I'm actually trying to pull myself through as the other leg goes in front of the body and across. As when we're walking forward, we have the hip external rotation, of hip flexion, and a slight adduction at the top. We're going to transition back into the reach run, And then we're going to take that into a forward run and boost up our intensity just ever so slightly. Now we're going to challenge hip rotation. We have the variety where the foot is on the ground and the body's rotating around the fixed foot. And then we have another variety where the foot is off the ground and the hip is rotating around the fixed body. We're going to be focusing on some controlled hip circles. We're going to do a clockwise and counterclockwise, and you can choose the angle or amount of circumference that you want for each circle. Now as I'm doing the hip circles, I'm trying to keep my trunk as tight as I can and also control my spine. At the same time, I'm going to be going through a series of repetitions only to fatigue, and I'm going to take that in a transitional reach run and then again a ramped up forward run. Now we're going to move into different types of torso rotations. Here what we're attempting to do is to fix the pelvis and the legs, and then gradually we're going to open it up by introducing full body rotation where the hip is now involved. Now we're going to add some arms. What we're going to do is we're going to go through some extension and some flexion of the shoulder, and then we're going to separate it by extension and flexion cross body. We can do it at a variety of speeds, and then from here go right back into our reach run, into a forward run. Remember that all we're trying to do is to increase body temperature and gradually get ourselves up to regular race pace. If you liked what you saw today, subscribe to our YouTube channel or check us out at body-activation.com.